Is there a way that we can identify the new energy beings?
Well, first of all, I think it's prudent to recap a previous conversation in regards to what a new energy being is.
Okay.
For those who have not heard or read the previous channel, your planet Earth is being infused during this time with a higher vibration. It's part of your evolution, it's part of your spiritual growth. And although there are many people within your planet that are awakening, that are becoming more in tune with their higher self, with their source, with their point of connection, they are still coming from an older energy, this low vibrational energy, this energy that is capable of hatred, of judgment, of inequality, of abuse, of ritualized activity that condemns fellow souls to a lesser life, to a degree of torment based on their gender, based on their height, based on their weight, based on the color of their eyes and their skin, based on their physical abilities, whether they can walk, whether they can run, whether they have two legs, whether they have one leg, whether they have good teeth, whether they have bad teeth, whether they have short hair, curly hair. These are all judgments. And within these judgments is a vibration. And that vibration that holds the energy of judgment, of anger, of hatred, of denial of basic civil rights, of control, of manipulation. These fear-based belief systems are of an old energy. So as we mentioned earlier, you're at the tipping point. You've already tipped, but you're just there. You're just on the other side of that darkness. The new energy is colliding with the old. And the natural process of this evolution would be to start infusing your consciousness with those of you that are coming from a higher state of awareness, from a new energy that lacks the darkness, that lacks the degree of the ego. There's still the ego, as we mentioned, there has to be at this point, but it's of a very slight degree. It's equivalent to a trace element in your body. So as these new energy beings are incarnating, they're being hit with a gigantic negative force that is very much still present on your planet, expressing itself in various degrees, in various forms around your planet, around the globe. This bombardment of negative activity, of low vibrational energy, is quite literally a shock to the system of those who have chosen to be incarnated in this time, in this space, bringing with them an exuberant amount of light. But the darkness for many is too much to bear. The blanket that's covering up the flashlight is too quick and too heavy, too strong. You have to remember that fear is a very strong force. There's no way around it. There's no doubt about it. This is not a question. It's not even a debate. All of you have felt the degree to which fear can infect your life. These new energetic beings, these light forces, come into the world the same way as all the souls who have entered into various lifetimes from the state of the old energy, which is with a lack of remembrance. The guideline is to come to a place of understanding, of remembering. So they too have to walk this road. They have to find their way back to their authentic self, back to who they really are, back to their true nature, which is pure light. But for many, the darkness overtakes them at some point along the way, typically throughout the teenage years. Not always, but this seems to be a trend, for that is a very difficult period of life. Early adulthood. And this is when these beings typically turn to drugs, alcohol, sex, self-defeating measures, because they're living in the darkness, so this is what they understand, this is what they get. But it always feels wrong. This isn't a place of comfort for them, it's merely the place that they found themselves to be in. So it is the responsibility of the old souls on the planet that are from an old energy to support and to guide and to protect, to raise awareness, to be mindful of these experiences, to be understanding, to be compassionate, to not pass judgment on why they're at where they're at in their life, but to know that they are here to help and support. But they can only do that if they are supported in such a way that enables them to get to a point to be able to help. Oftentimes these people are lost, they're sad, they're confused, they have a look of pain on their face. You can feel the pain in their heart. It expresses itself through words, through actions. It's an expression of a deep-seated sadness for how human beings are capable of acting towards other human beings, of how humans are capable of acting towards nature, towards Mother Earth and all of her creations. It's a sadness that most do not understand, for it's new. The depth of the sadness is new. So we don't ask that old souls that have moved into a newer energy feel the same degree of pain and suffering that these new energetic beings do, but to just have an understanding and an awareness of the depth that they feel. Simply bringing awareness to their state of being can sometimes be enough to bring them back into the light. The younger the person is, when this awareness is brought to their attention, the better, for obvious reasons. Because as human beings, you're habitual creatures. And some habits can be hard to break. Sometimes the road reaches a point where there are no forks, where it's a dead end. And they must start again. But know that this is also free will. This is their choosing. And they will return with this new energy until they figure it out. They will. As sad as that is sometimes to accept, because you have lost someone that is close to you, they will come back. They need to learn this process. They need to understand how to cohabitate amongst these two varying degrees of energetic forces. It is not an easy thing to do. But as the momentum increases, as the light takes over the darkness, things will get easier. There'll be less resistance. There'll be less damage being done. There'll be less destruction. There'll be less death. There'll be less control from a governmental level, from a dictatorship level. And as these forms of leadership begin to crumble, and as new types of leadership begin to come into play, and as these ways of leading become more of the norm, these new energetic beings will have a better chance of survival, a better chance of bringing what they're trying to bring. It's like anything you do. The first time you do it, there's always room for improvement. Life is the same way. The more experiences you have, the more understanding you've gained. The more understanding you've gained, the more awareness you have. And with awareness is enlightenment. And this is where you're all heading. This is where you all came from, pure enlightenment. So support these souls. Send them love. As much love as you possibly can, and sometimes that's all you can do. But it's important to recognize your own abilities in healing that suffering simply through sending love through the magnetic grid of the earth. Send it from your heart to theirs. Envision it. Envision that process in whatever way comes to you. That's what your imagination is for. To create these images so that you can see it, so that you can feel it. As human beings, and as many other beings in the universes, your imagination is a conduit to bring an idea into fruition.